Hi everyone, my name is Stephen Bridges, and I'm the interim director here at the Eli and Edith Bird Art Museum at Michigan State University. And I'm here today to talk about one of our newest exhibitions, Resistance Training, Art, Sports, and Civil Rights. This is a group exhibition here at the museum that focuses on the shared values between artists and athletes and the ways that they use their popular status and influence to advance issues of social justice and civil rights. The exhibition takes place uniquely this year in between two key milestones within our own histories here in the United States. Last year, we observed the 50-year anniversary of the Title IX legislation, and next year, in 2024, we recognize the passing of the 1964 Civil Rights Act. These two important moments in history influence the exhibition and much of the content that we're going to look at today. To create this artwork, Glenn Kina worked with track star and athlete Tommie Smith. And Tommie Smith is famous for winning the 200-meter dash at the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City. And upon winning that race, he stood atop the winner's podium and raised his fist in protest against the treatment of black and brown people in the United States. That particular moment and the images from that moment have been circulated worldwide and become an important moment not only in sports history, but also cultural history. Glenn Kina, working with Tommie, cast his arm in the same gesture to create the sculpture that you see here, and then put it in this mirrored box to create the illusion that the sculpture goes on for infinity, both into the past as well as into the future. This work speaks to the ways that the issues and topics within this exhibition exist both at an international level as well as a national level. And next, we're going to talk about the ways that this conversation is also deeply grounded and rooted here at Michigan State University and in the Mid-Michigan region. The Spartan statue is such an iconic figure and symbol on this campus. And of course, the question remains, what does it represent? What values does it uphold? The artist Youngjun Kwak, whose sculptures you see exhibited here in proximity to the larger photo mural of the Spartan statue, investigate and follow that line of inquiry. Of course, open-ended and unresolved, the artist cast different pieces of that sculpture and present them here at our own level. At its heart, it allows us to question our own relationship and understanding of the values of that symbol here at MSU and the way that it relates to us. The history of MSU with regards to athletics is also on display throughout this exhibition. Periodically throughout the galleries, you'll encounter cases such as this one, full of archival materials as well as other ephemera from that history to tease out important stories from MSU that relate to the larger themes of the exhibition. Important figures from that history like Duffy Daugherty and Biggie Munn and the teams that they put together in the 50s and 60s in the football program here at the university were integral towards integrating campus and the wider region at that time. Also stories like Gideon Smith, one of the first two black athletes to play collegiate sports in this country ever, joining the MAC football team in 1913, are important points to emphasize and celebrate within the history that exists here. Many of the artworks in this exhibition pull from the artist's own lived experiences and their cultural backgrounds. This is certainly true with artist Esma Muhammad's sculptures that we have here. Esma Muhammad grew up outside of Toronto and with a love of basketball also loved the Toronto Raptors. Of course, growing up in a somewhat traditional household as well as in a community where she was the only black family and one of the few black women in the neighborhood, her access to those sports and the ability to play were highly restricted. The title of the series is called One of the Boys. And here you see the hoop skirt form presented here with a modified jersey at the top in the form of a corset. The restrictive nature of this dress, the outmoded, very traditional and conservative presentation of this athletic uniform speak to the ways in which notions around what access women have to different opportunities are also outmoded ideas and very conservative and restrictive in nature. And here we have a work by Tyrell Winston, and this work is composed of found basketballs that the artist recovered from the sides of public courts across the country. Of course, the artist's interest in the balls is exactly the ways in which they speak to the love of the game, used to the point that they deflate and become, inusable in essence. The balls still carry the stories and the many imprints of the hands that touched them and played with them over the many years of their life. Now encoded as a work of art, the balls continue to share those stories with us and speak to the ways that sports build community in the same way that art also builds community and brings people together. In 1972, Title IX legislation was passed by the United States Congress. And Title IX required that any organization, institution, or entity that received federal funding to not discriminate against women or different genders in terms of their access to educational and other opportunities. This had a huge and wide-sweeping effect on the landscape within the United States in terms of women's rights and women's access, again, to educational and other opportunities. And certainly that had a role within athletics as well. One of the key proponents of Title IX legislation was Billie Jean King, tennis star, who is here depicted in this work behind me by artist Wendy White. Billie Jean was a prominent and continues to be a vocal supporter of women's rights and women's access to educational opportunities. The significance of Billie Jean King in influencing this nation is not to go understated. And Wendy White captures that very well in this painting, the image in the top left corner being the moment that Billie Jean King testifies before Congress in support of Title IX legislation. Her legacy continues to this day, and she remains a strong advocate, and her influence continues to provide and create a more equitable and anti-discriminatory landscape here in the United States. While many of the moments within sports and cultural history that are discussed throughout this exhibition are of the past, it's important to keep in mind that many of these issues continue to persist into the future. Title IX legislation and the Civil Rights Act and the movement for civil rights within this country are ongoing struggles. As is portrayed here in the works behind me by Kota Ezawa, most recently in 2019, there was a national debate around a moment in which Colin Kaepernick, a player for the San Francisco 49ers, began kneeling during the national anthem before games. One important question emerged from that moment. Can protest also be patriotic? That question is something that permeates various aspects of this exhibition. Thank you for joining me today for this video tour of resistance training, art, sports, and civil rights here at the Eli and Edith Byrd Art Museum at Michigan State University. Again, my name is Stephen Bridges, the interim director here at the museum, and so we hope that you'll come join us and see the exhibition in person. There's so much more to explore, so much more content to absorb and delve into, and we hope you enjoy the experience. Thank you again.